Welcome to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go. This video uses AI narration to present our original book analysis. Today we're taking a deep dive into Project Hail Mary. It's Andy Weir's sci-fi thriller that kind of takes you on a wild ride through space. It's about an amnesiac astronaut who wakes up on a spaceship with no memory of his mission, which just happens to be saving humanity from a sun-eating threat.
Talk about high stakes. I think what really grabs you from the start is how Weir throws you right into the mystery, you know? The protagonist, Ryland Grace, he's totally disoriented, surrounded by robotic caretakers.
Yeah.
And he's struggling to piece together, like, who he is and what he's supposed to be doing.
It's like waking up from a nightmare, except this one is real. I was fascinated by how he uses basic physics, like timing a falling test tube, to figure out, like, the gravity and just get a grip on his surroundings.
Yeah. Those details really make the science so accessible, even for someone who, isn't a physicist. As Grace regains his memories, we discover this, dire situation on Earth. Astrophage, this energy-hungry alien microbe, is consuming the sun's energy, causing it to dim and putting all life on Earth in jeopardy. Project Hail Mary is humanity's last-ditch effort to find a solution in the Tau Ceti star system.
And, of course, the journey itself is fraught with danger. 3 years at Tau Ceti, and Grace wakes up to discover that he's the only one who survived the trip. His crewmates didn't make it out of their medically induced comas. Can you imagine? The isolation, the weight of knowing you're humanity's last hope.
It's a crushing blow. And Weir, he doesn't shy away from the emotional toll it takes on Grace. But just when things seem bleakest, he encounters an alien spaceship, the Spippe.
That's where things go from desperate to mind-boggling. First contact with an alien species, the Iridians. They're unlike anything we can imagine. But Weir manages to make them feel both alien and plausible.
Their biology is fascinating. Ammonia-based. Mercury blood. They even use steam to power their movements. What I found most intriguing was how. Their unique biology forces Grace to constantly adapt and improvise. It kind of highlights the theme of human ingenuity. Our ability to problem solve even in the face of the unknown.
And speaking of the unknown, both humans and Iridians are facing a common enemy. Tamuba, this predator of astrophage, threatens the Iridians' home planet, Adrian. This shared threat creates this unlikely alliance, uniting them in a fight for survival.
It's a classic sci-fi trope, but I think Weir does a great job, injecting it with fresh energy and kind of weaving it into the scientific narrative. This alliance leads them to Adrian, which turns out to be the source of both astrophage and Tamuba. The Hail Mary becomes a mobile lab, as Grace and Rocky, his Iridian counterpart, race to understand these alien microbes and find a way to stop them.
And that's where the real adventure begins. Their exploration of Adrian is a whirlwind of discovery, danger, and near-death experiences. They even use the Hail Mary centrifuge as an atmospheric sampler. Talk about thinking outside the box.
It's a testament to Grace's resourcefulness, and it highlights how Weir seamlessly blends action with scientific problem-solving. You're constantly on the edge of your seat wondering how they'll overcome the next obstacle. It's not just about the scientific ingenuity, it's their relationship, their growing bond, despite their vast differences, is one of the most compelling aspects of the book.
Absolutely. Their friendship, this blend of humor, respect, and genuine affection, really shines through. It makes me wonder, does Weir use this relationship to make a statement about the power of communication and understanding in a world that often feels so divided?
It's certainly a thought-provoking element. They come from completely different worlds, literally, and yet they find ways to connect, to learn from each other, and to work together. Their banter and their attempts to navigate each other's cultures add this layer of warmth and humanity to the story.
It reminds us that, even when facing a cosmic threat, it's our connections with others that truly matter.
And ultimately, it's that connection that helps them achieve their goals. They manage to repair their ship, replenish their fuel, and figure out a way to stop the astrophage. But then comes the bittersweet part. The realization that their paths must diverge. Grace needs to send a sample of the Tamuba back to Earth. And Rocky, with a fresh supply of astrophage, has to return to Arid to save his own people.
A poignant moment. A recognition that their mission has brought them together, but their destinies lie on different planets.
But then Weir throws in a twist. Remember those beetles, the Blippes, that the Iridians used to communicate with Grace? Well, it turns out they were meant to relay vital information back to Arid. The Iridians miscalculated the relativistic effects of their journey. They thought it would take them 6 years to reach Tau Ceti. But due to time dilation, it only took 3. They arrived with more fuel than they needed. completely unaware of the time discrepancy.
That's where the science gets really interesting. You're telling me time actually moved differently for them.
Exactly. It's a mind-bending concept, but it has profound implications for Rocky. He's left with a heart-wrenching decision: return to Arid, knowing he might arrive too late to save his people, or stay with Grace and help him ensure the Tamiba sample reaches Earth safely.
What a dilemma. The fate of two civilizations rests on his shoulders. It makes you think about the weight of responsibility and the impossible choices we sometimes have to make. What did you think of his final decision?
His choice to stay with Grace and help him retrofit the remaining blipes into probes to carry the Tamiba back to Earth, knowing his own people might perish, was a testament to the depth of his friendship and his commitment to their mission. It also speaks volumes about Weir's skill as a writer. He doesn't shy away from exploring those complex ethical and emotional ramifications of these choices.
Their farewell is heartbreaking. But it's not the end of their story. Grace sets course for Earth, alone, but with a renewed sense of purpose. But of course, in true Weir fashion, another twist is thrown in. Remember those Tamiba containers? Well, one of them is leaking, and Grace finds himself battling a potential Tamiba infestation on his own ship. Talk about adding insult to injury.
It's a reminder that, even in the face of victory, challenges can still arise, and vigilance is key. But this time, Grace faces the threat alone. It raises the question: how will he cope without Rocky's help? Will he be able to rely on the skills and knowledge he's gained throughout his journey?
And just when you think he's got it handled, he discovers that the nitrogen leak, the very thing that helped him contain the Tamiba, has killed off most of the sample in one of the containers. He's left with a fraction of what he needs to save Earth.
It's a moment that truly highlights the fragility of their mission, the constant possibility of failure lurking just around the corner.
It makes you wonder, what awaits Grace back on Earth? What kind of world will he be returning to after all of this?
Yeah, that's the big question that lingers long after you finish the book. Will Earth have learned from its mistakes? Will humanity have found a way to cooperate, to rebuild, to create a more sustainable future?
It makes you reflect on the choices we're making today and the potential consequences for future generations. Will Earth be a wasteland? Or will it be a world where humanity has united and learned to value cooperation and scientific understanding?
Well, we don't get a definitive answer in the book, but Grace intercepts a transmission from Earth. That offers a glimmer of hope. Humanity's still fighting, still innovating, still striving for a better future.
It's reassuring, isn't it? It speaks to that unyielding human spirit, that drive to survive and overcome even the most daunting obstacles. I love how Weir doesn't give us a sugar-coated happy ending, but he does offer a sense of hope, a belief in the potential of humanity to learn and adapt.
And speaking of learning and adapting, there's one more surprise waiting for Grace. Remember Rocky? Well, it turns out he didn't return to Arid. He used the Blippe's remaining fuel to follow Grace and rendezvous with the Hail Mary in deep space.
Their reunion is incredibly moving. It emphasizes the depth of their bond, that even the vastness of space couldn't keep them apart.
It's a beautiful testament to the power of friendship, and a reminder that, even across interstellar distances, connections can endure.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Project Hail Mary. It's a story that challenges us to think about the power of science, the importance of collaboration, and the resilience of the human spirit.
It's a story that'll leave you pondering big questions about the fate of humanity and the choices we make. In the face of global challenges, it's a must-read for anyone who enjoys thought-provoking science fiction that's grounded in real science.
And if you want to experience the full adventure for yourself, we highly recommend picking up a copy of Project Hail Mary. You can find a link to purchase the book in the description below. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful book analyses. We'll see you in our next deep dive.